Sly Spy, known in Japan as Secret Agent and known in Europe as Sly Spy, Secret Agent, is an arcade game developed and published by Data East in 1989. After Data East became defunct due to their bankruptcy back in 2003, G-Mode bought the intellectual rights to the arcade game as well as most other Data East games and licenses globally. Description: Plot. The plot resembles some movies and novels of the James Bond series and takes place in the US in an unspecified time period called A Name is 199X. During the introduction sequence, the president and his wife are waving at the crowd next to a limousine at the White House in Washington, D.C., while terrorists approach the president and his wife armed and dangerous, and, as soon as the screen goes red and gun sounds are heard, they seem to shoot at both the crowd, the president and the First Lady. They are presumed as dead. Later, a secret agent working for the American Secret Service and known only by the name of Sly, is informed that the terrorists that struck at the presidential ceremony were located, identified, did match their rap sheet and are confirmed to actually be CWD members. CWD is a secret underground criminal organization, with terrorist foundations. WHLIST objective is drugs and weapons dealing, government corruption and their ultimate goal, world conquest. He is assigned by the Secret Service Command with the mission of eliminating these thugs. Listening to the world's desperate plea for freedom and hoping to protect those he loves most, Sly jumps from a plane towards Washington, D.C., and begins his campaign to prevent the terrorists from infiltrating not only the city, but several spots in the U.S., and must also prevent a nuclear missile from launching and striking back the Earth. The final challenge: should the player reach the end of the game, he/she will fight Sly's nemesis, the leader of CWD. His identity is completely unknown. Spikes start falling from the ceiling and the boss is protected by a force field. Sly must shoot or kick it to deal enough damage and dent the field. Then, Sly shoots at him, paralyzed and unable to do anything, finishing him for good. Sly manages to flee the base without hardly a scratch. In the beginning of the ending sequence, Sly receives a final transmission from the president itself, congratulating him for saving the planet, but he also says that Sly missed a couple of things and may come back to pick them up unaware of what's actually going on. He goes to the White House, only to arrive at the entrance and quickly find roaring applause from the crowd. He thanks them for such act. A minute later, he is surprised by what seems the president's daughters who are enchanted with Sly's heroic deeds, posing and smiling alongside him for a photo, although he doesn't seem very happy with the girl's romanticism, who gave him several kisses, as a thank you. Then, he and his girls return home in a fashionable Ferrari F40, speeding all the way over the road, going together to enjoy their well-deserved honeymoon. As the car drives out of the screen, the END is shown, giving the game a definite end. Gameplay. Players control a secret agent named Sly Spy through 8 different stages. Some stages have their own gameplay. In the first part of the first stage, players shoot enemies horizontally while skydiving. The second half of the first, third, fifth, sixth and eighth stages are played in a run-and-gun format similar to Namco's Rolling Thunder and its sequels, but it lacks the ability to jump between the top and bottom floors while grabbing rails. Also, when out of ammo or attacked by a boss with one hit, Sly Spy drops his firearm while the game becomes a beat-em-up in 2D platform manner, much like Shinobi. Players can make Sly Spy do 3 different kicks: high kicks, low kicks and jump kicks. The second stage shows Sly Spy riding on his motorcycle with a built-in machine gun, which makes this stage a combination of run-and-gun and vehicular combat game formats, much like Moon Patrol. The fourth and seventh stages are in marine-based, side-scrolling shooter format. Minor enemies will drop several different items when defeated, such as extra ammo, cans of Coca-Cola-esque soda and machine guns. Sometimes, enemies will drop a jetpack on land or a DPV while underwater to make transportation easier. James Bond references. Enemies also drop parts of the ultimate weapon in the game called the Golden Gun, which is based on the weapon of the same name from the novel film titled The Man with the Golden Gun. However, instead of shooting golden bullets like in the James Bond series, Sly Spy's version functions nearly the same way as the Cobra gun in Data East's 1988 RoboCop arcade game and the heavy barrel energy cannon from the arcade game of the same name. It is also shaped like a rifle instead of a pistol. However, when the Golden Gun is equipped along with either the motorcycle or a DPV, their built-in firearms will shoot the same energy bolts shot from the Golden Gun itself. Besides the protagonist and the Golden Gun being references of the James Bond series, several bosses and stages in the game are based on villains and settings in the James Bond series. The second boss is based on Jules from the films titled The Spy Who Loved Me and Moonraker, the third boss is based on ODDJOB from the film titled Goldfinger, and the ninth and final stage is based on the launch base scene in the Moonraker film. Ports and related releases. The game was ported to several home systems for personal use. Data East ported it to the Commodore 64 and released it in Europe and North America in 1989, while Ocean Software ported it to the Amiga, Amstrad CPC, Atari ST and Sinclair ZX Spectrum in 1990 exclusively in Europe. In 2010, G-Mode and G1M2 added the arcade game to Data East Arcade Classics as Secret Agent. Several references from Data East's other arcade games made cameo appearances in Sly Spy. A poster showing Chelnov can be seen at the beginning of Stage 3, the logo for the aforementioned Bad Dudes can be seen at the end of Stage 3, and a poster showing Karnov can be seen at the beginning of Stage 5. In the 1990 movie RoboCop 2, Officer Duffy gets pushed by RoboCop into a Bad Dudes arcade cabinet, but with Sly Spy built into it. Along with a few other Data East arcade games, they appeared in the film due to licensing and advertising agreements between Orion Pictures, Data East and Ocean Software after the release of two video games based on the RoboCop property. References. External links, official G-Mode webpage of Sly Spy, Sly Spy at GameFAQs, Sly Spy at the Killer List of Video Games, Sly Spy at Arcade History.